Of every Etsy seller tool I've ever subscribed to, the one that I have started and canceled the most is Everbee. Take a look at this listing right here. This is a in 20 plus carts, bestseller, popular now, digital Father's Day card. Everbee has it at 0 sales, 0 conversion rate with 625 views, and the listing age is 2 months. So it has been around for 2 months and it's been favorited. It's not that Everbee's bad. Understanding consumer patterns and what's popular right now is extremely important. The problem that I have is for $29.99 a month, what you get is data through last month. So you're looking at historical data that is 30 days or so older than what is currently trending. I haven't ever paid for the $99 version, but they do say on their website that if you pay for the $99 version, you will get current data. It's a month. That ends up being $1,200 a year to get information about these listings. And what's amazing is that we can get it for free. I'm an Etsy seller and a developer. I've spent years inside the ins and outs of Etsy and Meta and Shopify, understanding how this data flows between systems and what we have available to us. I finally built a solution to replace Everbee, and I'm going to show it to you today. You can do this yourself for free. I have everything in the show notes of everything that you would need to do this on a one-by-one basis, and it's completely free. Will not cost you a thing. And what's even better is that it is absolutely live, real-time data that you're pulling. All right, so when you go to make.com, this is what it looks like. You'll sign in and create an account. And like I said, you get 1,000 credits for free each month. And I think the limit on scenarios like what we're going to create today are 3. So it's a lot if you are not using this every day for a ton of automations. And it's a really nice way to figure out if this works for you without investing too much. So you sign in, and then once you get in, you would want to go over to the left and click scenarios. And then you click a new scenario. And these are just a collection of commands that you're going to have it run for you. So we create a scenario. And when you open this up, there's just 3 steps that we have to do to get all of that data. So I'm going to show that to you right now. The first thing I'm going to do is rename this. So you can click inside this top piece up here and give it a name. Okay. And then this is what it's going to look like. There is a menu bar down at the bottom that has basically all of the commands that you would need to run. They're really small, but the save button right down here is what you would press anytime you save things. And I think it turns red or something when you've edited it. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go down to this scenario inputs and outputs. It's this little IO button at the bottom. And what we're going to do is we're going to create an automation to go look up the information per listing. So what we want to do is have an input box come up on the screen so that we can plug in the listing ID. So on the inputs, we're going to add an item, and you're going to call it the listing ID. And we're just going to enter text. If you wanted to be extra, you could do something like enter the listing ID. You could also have in a default value if you wanted to, and we're going to save that. Okay, so now we have this basically like a variable, and a window's going to pop up when we run it. We're going to plug in the listing ID, and it's going to go get all the information that we need. So you may be asking yourself, what is the listing ID? So if we go back to this example here, this funny dad card, the listing ID is right here inside the URL. So anytime you're looking at something, and it's really nice to go in and look at them too. I find for myself, of course, I don't want to pay for Everbee, so I'm okay with some of these compromises, but I like to actually go in and look at the listings because I want to see the in 20 carts, popular now, bought 7 times in the last 24 hours, those types of flags that Etsy gives me that I can trust, that I know are real. All right, so we've done step 1. We've created the input to put in the listing ID. The next thing that we do is we're going to go get how many reviews they have. And the reason we're going to do this is there's no real way to understand how many sales a product has had. Only the seller knows how many that they've had. And Everbee has an algorithm that they determine how to do it. And I'll talk through what I did, the thought process I went through to estimate sales. But nobody really knows. But one thing that you probably could use in your formula to make a guess on how many sales they've had is to get the reviews, the number of reviews that they've had. So that's what we're going to go get first. So you click the plus button. If the plus button in the middle isn't there, there's another plus button right here where you're going to add a component to this scenario. So yours may not have Etsy in the top, but you can just go into the search and then type in Etsy. So this is a tool that Etsy allows us to, without any kind of app developers sign up or anything with Etsy, you basically authorize this make.com connection to go use your Etsy shop to go make API calls, which are just to collect information from Etsy. So what you do is you go on Etsy and then you scroll all the way. They have all these things that you can go, and this is all free for sellers. They have a ton of things that you can do. But what we're going to do is make an API call. And then at the top, it's going to want your store. If you haven't ever used make.com or haven't set anything up yet, you would click on add. And I think it gives you tell it what the name that you want the connection to be, and then you save it and you basically give it like what you would see if you had Profittree or Everbee. You basically authorize and grant access to your shop. All right, so once you have a connection to your shop done, the next thing that you do is you go into the URL. Now, I had no idea what the URL was to go grab the reviews. So it's as easy as asking ChatGPT, Claude, whoever you prefer to work with, to go get the URLs for just ask, how do I figure out the review count through Etsy and make.com? And you'll get the exact answer that you need. All right, to get the reviews, it already has, and this took some trial and error kind of getting this right, but basically it already puts in this part of the API call for you. So you're basically plugging in the last part of the specifics that you want to go get. So we're going to go get the reviews. So the first part of the URL that you want to enter is the word listings, and then a slash, and then this box. If it's not still up, you can just click inside the box, inside the URL box, and you will get this back up. But basically what we want is that variable that we went and got. That we created in the very beginning. So we want this thing here, this listing ID, and we want it to have, it's just a little buggy with these whole slashes. So I just have to enter 2 and then get it back to 1. But what you're trying to get to is 1 slash between listings and the listing ID variable, and the last part is reviews. So this is what needs to be in the URL field. We're going to get data, and all of this stays the same. You don't have to change anything else. You just need to put in your shop and the URL that I've just mentioned. All right, so now that you have this on, one thing you can do if you get to where you're liking using some of these automations and everything that you could do through the back end, you could rename this if you wanted to. We could say get reviews, and it will just change that. Okay, so we've finished step 2. Now all we have is one more step. Now we're going to go get the details about the listing. So we're going to add one more component onto the screen. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to open up Etsy. We're going to scroll all the way down to the bottom, and we are going to make an API call. And once you put these two beside each other, Make automatically assumes that they are connected. You can unlink if you wanted to, if it doesn't automatically happen for you. And then you can also drag and drop the connections there. All right, so let's configure this last one, and then we'll run it and you can see what you get back. So you plug in your connection, you hit the down arrow, you should have already created this connection to your shop. So you put that in, and then on the URL, this time it is listings, and then that listing ID. So all that you need to do to get any kind of information about his listing is you need to know the listing ID, and you need to be able to use the API, which you can do through make.com. Everything else stays the same. It's a get. We want this data back in JSON format, even though it's a little messy, but it's free and it's available to us. All right. So I saved the scenario. So now everything is done. Now we're going to go ahead and run it, and it's going to ask us for the listing ID, and then it's going to return back all the current information that we see on the screen in Etsy. So let me go grab that listing ID. I'm going to copy that and then come back to our scenario. I've saved it. So now I'm going to say run once. Here's the input box, the message box that asked for that listing ID. I'm going to paste in the value that I got from the URL from Etsy. I'm going to say okay. And if everything works the way it's supposed to, it turns green on the screen here. The little message boxes up in the top are the output that came back. On the reviews, what we have is you can click in here, and this listing, according to what we just did, we just went and made a call to Etsy, said, hey, tell me about this listing. How many reviews does it have? It has 4. So if we go up and look at Etsy, 4 reviews on this item. So that is correct. That is exactly what it has. And I don't think, does Everbee tell you the number of reviews? It gives you this estimate of the monthly reviews, but it doesn't tell you the actual reviews at the current time. Yeah, another one of those algorithm things they do for you. 4 reviews. And then if you were to expand each one of these results that came back, you can see that the results back are, the first review is a 4, and it says the card itself looks like the photo. The only reason I'm not giving it 5 stars is blah, blah, blah. So let's go down. The card looks itself like the photo. The only reason I'm not giving it 5 stars is blah, blah, blah. Now we know how many reviews they have, and this might be something that you could use to help guess how many sales there were. And let me be clear, Everbee has no idea how many sales there are either. So everybody's making an educated guess as best as we can to figure out what the sales were. All right, so the next piece that we went and did was we went and got the listing information. So the output from this call is right here. So we can see the listing ID, the shop, the title, Funny Father's Day Card, and this one is Funny Father's Day Card. We have the description, and we have the time it was created. These are epoch time. So this is basically, there are epoch calculators on the internet where you can go and say, let me give you the stamp and it's in milliseconds. And then would you please give me back the actual day? So you can figure out exactly how this works and what day it is. This is the quantity left as the number is depleted. You know how you put in a quantity for your items? This is what's remaining, the remaining quantity. Each shop section has its own ID. The number of favorers is the number of favorites. And then here are the tags that they are using. Materials I don't even think are used anymore, but it has all of the other pieces of information on the price. What it does is it never uses periods. So you would the actual price is $12.90. What does it say over here? Yeah, $12.90. You just divide the divisor, and because there are different monetary systems in Etsy, that's $12.90. The taxonomy ID is just the ID that represents greeting cards. The SKUs don't matter. I don't think you would ever use that for anything. Here are the number of views that it's had. So this is how visible it is. And then I think that's it. So it's everything that you could possibly want about a listing that you would need to understand how they're getting found and what they're doing. Let's pause there. So let's talk about estimated sales. I can't find anything on Everbee's site that explains how they come up with the sales. What I did for thinking through this was really just go over to Claude and ask. What you would see is that there's no way to fully know. And there are some obstacles that have to be considered. So what I did was I just started going through the data and looking at examples, digital products, physical products, books, shirts, just everything that I could think of to start looking at some data, some things that I'm familiar with selling. And I just went back and forth with Claude to get this interface to take the results and plug it into a screen where I could see it. What we did for the sales estimations was really just a couple of different ways of looking at it. If it was a physical product, we made some decisions. If you wanted to think about the number of views and the conversion rate, what would that formula look like? And then we also did the hybrid model where we just take the reviews and the views, some if then else statements to come up with an estimate. This is something that you can do as well and think through what makes the most sense in your experience. So that's everything. That is a free solution to give you the same information that you can get with Everbee. All of us are making those personal decisions about what subscription fees we're okay with and which ones we're not. This one ended up being one that I'm not okay with anymore, especially if I can't get reliable data. Understanding what a listing has and what it's using and possibly some keywords that are helping it get found is a part of the issue. I think the bigger question that I ask myself when I'm sitting down to build a title or put in tags is really trying to figure out what are the search terms. And the more I dug into the search terms and the counts that Everbee was providing in the search bar compared to what Etsy has in Marketplace Insights, I just decided it was too incorrect. So next week, we're going to dive into search and how to tackle that one. So have a great day. Thanks so much for watching.